just, I know everybody's time is valuable, so I'll just start right in and brief you on how our campaign is going. We are doing so well in our campaign. We have a tremendous amount of momentum. I mean, people are jumping on every day, and my signs, we can't even keep them in stock. I mean, people are going up to the headquarters there, the Dem headquarters, and taking them. They're ordering them. They're calling us for them. And, beyond that, we also have people who are volunteering to do phone banking. People have donated to my campaign, which I tremendously appreciate. I mean, we have to stay competitive, and we are in this campaign. We are not letting our foot off the gas, not one bit. We are in full court press mode for any of you that are basketball fans. And we're continuing to run this campaign as if we're behind, but we know we're not. I am going to be the next sheriff of Hamilton County, and we're certain of that. But again, we have to stay competitive with my opponent, who, quite frankly, is a heavily funded Republican, and he and I did a debate last night for Channel 5. So I invite all of you to tune into that. If you haven't seen it yet, you can get on Facebook Live and see it, my Facebook or Channel 5's WLWT. And we have 2 one-hour debates coming up here in October, which I invite you to tune into. And those should be very good as well. A couple of things I'd like to talk about, because, I did talk about the budget in this debate, and, people have asked me about it and so forth. Like, they're interested. When you say the word budget, they're like, well, what do you mean? What did you do? So, what I want to do is say this. I have a proven record of fixing a budget and working within a budget. And that's why I'm confident about taking over the sheriff's budget, which has been mismanaged over these past few years. And, and I'll just start from when I was the major. I was handed a budget that was $2 million over. $2 million over is what I inherited for the jail from the Simon Lease administration. And within that first year of 2013, I took that budget deficit down to just a few $100,000. And then in 14, I commissioned a professional audit in partnership with the commissioners and so forth. And through that audit, I was able to present to the county commissioners what our personnel cost was, broken down into every facet of what we do in that jail. And at that point, then we were able to fix what we needed for 2015. So it really then became a situation where in 2015, we came in just under that budget in 2016 and 17 before I left. So, what we did is we worked a strategy surrounding that, because, you don't fix that kind of thing overnight. You don't fix millions of dollars of outgo overnight, but we did fix it in a few increments of doing the right thing and strategizing as to how we could right size it. And that's what we did for that jail. And, that's something that I like people to know. I like you to know the history of how that happened and what it was that happened. So beyond that, my opponent, by the way, continues to disparage me and say things about me that are, frankly, flat out lies or distortions. And I invite you to watch that debate. If you do, you'll see that he is woefully unqualified to take over the many facets of the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office touches every facet of the criminal justice system, and that's where my experience lies, in working within all of those connections and how it connects to our system. And that's exactly where we need to start the change. So, those are things I'm going to bring to the table as a reform candidate, but then as a law and order candidate, I'm going to work with Road Patrol. I'm getting out there. I'm meeting with the different township trustees and so forth to understand their needs out in those neighborhoods that we patrol. And my goal is, and then I can take some questions, but I want you to know that my goal in being sheriff is to make Cincinnati and Hamilton County a place where people want to live, a place where people want to make a home and live in a neighborhood, regardless of the location of the neighborhood. People want to enjoy this city and this county, and that's my goal, to put forth our efforts to make that happen.
I'm sure there's some questions. One, when you were with us earlier in the primary last March, I guess, late February or March, when we had you on, you talked about some really creative and humane programs that you put in place when you were in the job you were in the sheriff's office. Can you briefly just touch on those a little bit?
Yeah, I can, and thanks for asking that. You know, I looked at, you know, how can we create or, you know, enhance community safety, right? Safety for all of us out in the communities that we live in. And I said, you know, let's look at our bottom line, which is our incarceration rate and who continues to reoffend in those neighborhoods we live in. So I started programs to help people along in their lives. I mean, certainly you have to, you know, pay the consequences for your action. You are doing your time in jail or prison, whichever it is, for whatever crime you committed. But then my concern is what happens to you when you get out, right? And if we don't give you the tools to succeed or opportunities when you get out, you're going to reoffend again at almost 100% rate. And we have to intervene there. So I created a women's heroin recovery pod program so that women who were addicted to heroin could come in and start working on their addiction right away, and working on it in practical ways, you know, how to get a job, how to fill out a resume, childcare, all of the things, skill things that you're going to need. I brought in peer mentors for those women so they would have someone to lean on when they left jail. And then the men, I created the men's veterans program, which focused on housing and PTSD issues that the men were having that were in jail, so that we can get them out of jail and keep them safe, increase the safety of our communities by doing that. And the men's exit pod, which allows men to who are short on their sentence to get connected to how to get their driver's license back, how to get a job, where to get a job, you know, partner with those companies that are willing to employ those guys, and get them moved along in their life as well in the many faceted programs. So I brought in programming for the general population to enhance their ability to work on their issues while they're incarcerated. And that's for the mentally ill, that's for people that struggle, people with homelessness and so forth. And what I found is it really does move the mark. And that is exactly the beginning of creating safe communities. And then, of course, branching out to law enforcement strategies for some of those offenders that are chronic, that quite frankly are very, very dangerous.
Some other questions for Charmaine? The other question I had on my mind, in the campaign, are you running into what you might call a white male anti-woman for sheriff cadre of people or not?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. You know, I am and I'm not. I mean, really, it cuts both ways. I have so much support in the community among men, white men, African-American men, women, you know, you name it. My support ranges from people that reside in communities around Hamilton County, people that have been formerly incarcerated, men who work in the business in whatever policing agency they work in. I have a lot of men that support me. Now, of course, my opponent is going to highlight the men that don't support me. And quite frankly, that's a small number, really. I hear from them all the time. And most importantly, the number of men that support me, the most of them are in that sheriff's office. They support me. And that's what I'm going back to. They're going to help me strategize, to fix budget issues, to right the ship, because what I'm hearing from them from all corners of the department, morale is the lowest it's ever been. The leadership is really faulty and absent. You know, our sheriff right now walks around in a bomb tech uniform. I don't understand it, but it doesn't translate well to the troops. They know me, they've worked with me for many years, and they understand who I am and what I'm going to bring to, you know, to our department and the community. So yeah, I do have support of men. I have the endorsement of the Sentinels, which is a policing agency for Cincinnati Police Department, if you're familiar with that. It is an arm of the union and their personnel function of African American officers. And I have over 60 endorsements around the county because that is the vast reach that my campaign has had.
I would imagine that a lot of the Cincinnati police officers are afraid to come out and let you know if they do endorse you, because Van Hills will shoot them down.
Oh, but, yes. Yeah.
You know, I know that there are some white male Cincinnati police officers who support you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Susan. You're exactly right. It's exactly why the officers at the jail, in the courthouse, and on our road patrol can't come out publicly either. They will be, oh my gosh, the retribution will be swift and serious for them. And I know it and they know it. So, you know, I'm not pressing anybody that's in uniform to step out for me because I know they put themselves in jeopardy and I don't want them to do that. It's enough for me to know I have their support and it's going to show. And it did show. It showed in the primary. It's going to show in this general election too. They just can't come out and say it. And I get why. And so do you, if you've ever been in an organization where there are, you know, retributions and a whole lot of other shady stuff going on.
Other questions or comments or?
You cover everything so well that we don't have questions.
Well, I'll make a comment as Charmaine's campaign manager, because I'm never at a loss for words. I will say this: if you haven't had a chance to see the debate last night, please check it out. Please share it wide and far and wide. You know, everything we know about Charmaine was very clear last night on that debate. You are the most qualified, and you know, our whole campaign is about moving forward with Charmaine's positive message. What her opponent is doing truly is just distraction and noise. And so anyway, the best way you can help us, short of also supporting her campaign financially, is to push out her message when you see it on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, that we just continue to need to reach, we have to reach voters who are going to come out and vote in the election. And of course, I'm assuming everybody on here is already registered and has a plan to vote. Those are the key issues.
And I'll just follow that up by noting to all of you, which you've already noted, I'm sure, Jim Neal did not attend this forum when you invited me the first time for the primary, because obviously he didn't see it as important enough. And my opponent, Bruce Hoffbauer, isn't here either. And I understand you've reached out to him multiple times. So I just ask people to realize, you know, this is somebody who's running for an office that touts himself as somebody connected to the community. This is literally called a community issues forum that he knows is going on, multiple invites, and he's not here. And I always just think this, and I've stood by this my entire career. It's never failed me. Actions speak louder than words. And that is what I've always gone by in regards to assessing people's performance, assessing how people's words match their actions is exactly how I decide who's being on the up and up and who isn't. So thank you for that.